Get her. The force is strong with you.
A couple weeks ago, I shared with you a really simple recipe to get started shooting in manual mode. And last week we built upon that recipe by playing with shutter speed. And shutter speed is all about controlling movement. So I thought we would kind of build upon that recipe even further and talk about aperture. Now, aperture is really cool because it allows us to control the area in focus. The technical term for that is called depth of field. So this can be really helpful when you're taking portraits and you want the subject to be nice and sharp and that background to be really nice and blurry. And this is also really helpful when you're shooting landscapes and you want everything in focus, from the foreground to the background, everything nice and sharp. So I've set up a little scene here with some Coke bottles, and I want to show you guys how we can play with aperture using our recipe from before to get the look that we're going for. Let's start with my manual mode recipe. So set your shutter speed to 1/320, lower your aperture to the lowest possible f number, then set your ISO to 100. You can see this photo came out a little too dark, so let's go ahead and brighten it up. All we have to do is increase the ISO, so I'm going to set it to 400. Nice, so you can see how much brighter this is. What I love about this recipe is that it allows you to focus on a subject, like this Coke bottle, and blur out the background to really make it pop. Now watch what happens when I change my focus point from the Coke bottle to the Barg's root beer. The depth of field becomes so shallow that the bottles in front of it and behind it fall out of focus. And if I change my focus point to the Dr. Pepper bottle, all the bottles in front of it fall out of focus. While shooting with a really low aperture can be lots of fun, there are still tons of other scenarios where you're going to want to put everything in focus. And this is really helpful for things like landscapes, where you have a foreground and a background and you want everything nice and sharp. So to do that, all we have to do is bump up the aperture. To increase the depth of field, I'm going to go ahead and raise the aperture all the way up to f8. It may be hard to see, but all the bottles are in focus. So all we have to do now is just brighten up the shot. So I'm going to go ahead and increase my ISO a bit to make things brighter. Awesome. So by increasing the aperture, what we did is we increased the area in focus, or the depth of field. If we compare it to the first shot of the Coke bottle, you can see how all the bottles are out of focus, but if we compare it to the one with a higher aperture, now all the bottles are nice and sharp. There you have it, a really simple recipe to play with aperture and depth of field in the real world. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Happy clicking.
Oh, here he comes. He's got ninja moves.
Ouch.